Hi yogis! I'm going to be making some videos for mindful menopause. It's not necessarily only for women with menopause. This particular sequence is for soreness in the lower back. And this could be for anybody, any muscular issues that you might have. So these are the things that you will need if you're going to do this. Look, you could use books if you don't have blocks. I have 2 blocks handy. I have some blankets. It could be any kind of blanket or a throw. And I have a chair. I have the chair with no back. You can use any chair you have. And I also put everything on top of a sticky mat. We're also going to use the wall. So everything is going to be placed on the sticky mat, and the chair is on the wall so that it doesn't move. So I'll go through each of these poses, and then we're going to have some voiceover over that. If you have any questions or comments, always feel free to contact us at urbanbliss.com. So this will be our first pose. Some of us were taught that this was constructive rest. If that's what you'd like to call it, that's fine. That's how I was taught it. We could also call it savasana with a chair. So I put the chair by the wall. I put some sort of a blanket or a throw on it so it makes you feel comfortable when you put your legs on it. I have a blanket on the ground, and that's on the sticky mat. And so what you want to do is you want to side saddle your chair and put your feet or your legs up on the chair, on the seat of the chair. And then lower yourself down gently, yes? So this pose, and you want to scoot yourself up a little bit. This pose is so great for your lumbar spine because it's taking the lumbar lordosis or lordotic curve a little bit away from the lumbar spine, right? We're imprinting our spine. Take deep breaths in this pose as much as you can and try to let the floor support you. You can do whatever you'd like with your arms. You can cross your arms over your chest. You could let your arms come by your side. You can place your hands on your abdominal. You can place one hand on heart, one hand on belly. Whichever you choose, just take a deep breath and close your eyes and connect with your breath in that ujjayi breath, in and out through the nose. And start to set an intention for yourself and for your practice. So if you are feeling any discomfort in your lower spine, just send some space and some breath and some prana into your lower spine every time you breathe. Ask the body where it needs the space, and also tell the body that you want to help it in its healing process. You want to stay in this pose for at least 5 minutes. To get out of this pose, yogis, make sure that you just bring your knees into your chest. You could roll to the right or to the left. It doesn't really matter. Yes? I'm going to roll to the right because I'm just so old school. And we're just going to press ourselves up. Ready to begin the next pose. Our second posture is Tadasana in a chair. Again, you'll need a sticky mat, a chair, and a wall. So always remember to place the chair firmly on the sticky mat and place it against the wall so it doesn't move around. This Tadasana has the same concept as our standing Tadasana. We're going to use 2 blocks today as well. This is Reno. I don't think he wants to do sitting Tadasana. So our feet are hip distance apart, and you want to feel the rooting to rise even though we're not standing. When we do have a lot of compression in the lower back, we feel not so great, right? And so there are some of us out there in the world that have issues when we're standing for too long a period of time. So this pose in the chair makes it so that I can feel every single thing that's going on in a standing Tadasana, but on the chair. So you want to root the feet down into the floor. Those ground force reactions, root to rise. 3 corners of the feet, lift the insteps up. right? You want to feel all the energy coming up. I call it our checklist. We come up all the way through the legs, engage the quadriceps, feel the inner thighs working. And I like to place a block in between the inner thighs so that I could squeeze it. I'm sitting at the tip of the chair as well. I'm lifting up in my pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. And I'm squeezing my lower abdominals, which is Uddiyana Bandha. And I lift up. So always remember, those bandhas are that alignment from the inside. And it's helping my hips and my knees stay in alignment. Taking your block into the hand, squeeze the block in between your palms and lift the block over your head if your neck and your shoulders allow that. Squeeze and press as you lift up in the pelvic floor and squeeze the lower abdominals together. Squeeze the block in between your thighs and take a couple of breaths. Try to feel length in between the vertebrae as I'm lifting my fingertips up to the sky. So I'm lifting up out of my waist spine without bringing any undue tension into the shoulders. You might want to repeat the pose 1 or 2 times. Tadasana in the chair. So the third asana or pose that we're going to do in this sequence is Marichasana 3, or Marichasana C, with the chair. So you want to face the chair sideways to the wall. Some people like to use a block underneath the standing leg. If that's okay for you, that's fine. If you don't feel that secure by doing that, then don't do that. So our feet are together, standing, facing forward towards this chair. And I'm going to lift my outside leg and place it on the seat of the chair. All right? And then I'm just going to twist my upper body and place my palms on the wall. So everything is coming in towards the midline as I twist my upper body. And don't forget about that midline. Everything is coming towards the midline of the body. As I lift up in the pelvic floor and I squeeze the lower abdominals. This standing leg is rooted down and I'm engaging the quadriceps and I'm rooting to rise. As I lift up out of my waist spine and I use the wall to help me twist. You want to take at least 5 to 8 breaths in this pose, doing both sides. Marichasana. Our next pose is Bharadvajasana. This is also a twist. And twists are so nice for the lower spine when we don't do them aggressively, right? They kind of relax the lower spine and bring us back into that neutrality. So I'm going to ground my feet down to the floor again. And I'm sitting kind of side saddle on this chair. My knees are facing forward. And I'm really feeling this grounding from the root, from the ground up, right? As I lift up again from the pelvic floor, squeeze the lower abdominals together. I'm going to place my hands on the back of the chair and gently twist. If I like to look over my opposite shoulder, that's also a possibility, but don't lose that connection with the ground. Plant both feet, lift up the insteps and lift up out of the waist spine. Squeezing the pelvic floor and the abdominals together. Hold this pose for 5 to 8 breaths. And please repeat it on the other side. Our next pose is Virabhadrasana 2 or B. So we start again in this neutral position in that seated Tadasana. Remember, even in our vinyasa practices, when we do standing poses, everything comes from Tadasana. So you want to always revisit this and go over your checklist. Then I'm going to start with my right leg. I'm going to turn my right leg out and I'm going to step on a warrior, that back foot. I'm going to come up close to the tip of the chair. I'm going to face the side and I'm going to extend my arms out to the side. If this is too much for your arms, please bring your hands to heart center. If this is too much, you could always keep your hands down onto your legs. Make sure you feel the outside of the back foot on the ground and that you could feel the inner thighs working, also the outer thighs, so stabilizing this movement so that we don't come in or out. Reach your arms forward if this is where you're at. Lengthen up from the waist spine. Relax your shoulders. Engage the back leg. Feel the outside of the back leg. If it's possible for you, instead of looking forward, we can actually find the drishti, or look at the middle finger of the extended front arm. Take about 5 to 8 breaths in this pose. Make sure that you do the other side. Our next pose, yogis, is Uttita Trikonasana, extended triangle. We're going to use a chair. You could also use a block. You don't have to use a block. And so there's different ways to get into it. Of course, you want to step out to the side. And then you want to turn I'm going to turn the left foot to the left. So finding that external rotation. I could place the block on the chair and then lift my right arm up. If my neck bothers me, I'm going to look down at the chair. But I really want to find the length in the lateral portion of the body. If this is not an option for me, I could take the block and put the block down, come into the pose with my hand on the seat of the chair and go down a little further. Depends upon your flexibility and your range of motion, whatever that is for you. If I could look up at the hand that's in the sky, that's great. You're going to feel a nice, beautiful stretch on the sides of the body, right into the intercostals. You're also going to feel like this left side of the rib cage wants to come forward so that we could create space in the spine. You want to take deep breaths. Root to rise as you reach up to the ceiling. Press down and away from the chair. Press down and up through your feet and your legs. Again, if your neck bothers you, please look down at the chair. You also have the option to bring your hand up to the seat of the chair. Whichever works for you. 5 to 8 breaths. And do the other side. So the next pose is Ardha Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So this pose is an extension pose, so be very mindful. We're going to use the back of the chair, so I face the chair towards the wall and I place the legs in the chair on the baseboard so it doesn't move very much. So I'm going to face the chair and I'm just going to place my hands on the back of the chair and I'm going to move my feet back as much as it's possible for me. Or for you. You're going to lift up and all you're going to do is lift your chest up for the extension. You're going to take deep breaths as you can. Again, if your head bothers you, please look forward. 5 to 8 breaths. And you could do that pose again if you'd like. The next pose in the sequence is Sapta Padangusthasana. So Sapta, of course, means to recline. And we're going to use a strap. You don't need to use a strap. If you can grab your big toe or your calf mask. If you have a tie or a scarf, whatever you can use, it's great. You could also use a block when we go to the side to place the block on. You could also place your foot on the chair if it's too much for your hamstrings. So again, this is a really nice forward fold because we're on our spine. It's in a reclined position, so there's not a lot of stress on the lower back. So let's begin. So we're going to lie back on our spine. I'm going to start with my outside leg, which is my left leg. And you're going to loop the strap around your foot. If you need to keep the right knee bent or the opposite knee bent, please do that. And just gently start to bring the leg towards you. When our hamstrings, our hip flexors are tight, and our lower back can suffer from that. And you want to just take deep breaths. We sit in chairs all day long. So be very, very compassionate and patient. Our hamstrings teaches us a lot about patience. So you want to take 5 breaths here in this position. If that is just way too intense for you, you could always place your leg on the chair that's in front of you. So place your right hand on your right hip as you start to open up the leg to the left. And this is the side that I'm doing. You know, you might be doing the other side. If it doesn't touch the floor, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I just want you to find a nice evenness in the hips and don't rock the hips up. So press that right foot down and just hold on to the strap so you feel a little bit of that external rotation in the left leg. Again, you want to take 5 breaths. Deep Ujjayi breaths, in and out through your nose. Inhale, come back up towards the center. And then release that gently, and don't forget to do the other side. Our next pose is Balasana, or child's pose. So I have a blanket. We could place the blanket. You know, there's many ways to approach this pose. Balasana, it's a seemingly very easeful pose, but for some people it's not very easeful to get into it. So you could put the blanket on the chair. You can kneel if this kneeling bothers you. Yes. We could extend the legs through the chair. Grab a hold of the points of the chair, the back of the chair. Just place your forehead on the seat of the chair on top of the blanket. That's something, a modification if you need to do that. If your knees are okay and you feel that there's no pain in the knees as you go down, but you still can't enjoy the pose like most other of your yogi friends maybe could be doing when they just splat themselves down on the ground, you could still keep your knees together and hold on to the back of the chair and place your forehead on the seat of the chair again. Here's another option. You could also go to the outsides of the legs of the chair if you want some more stretch, or the top of the chair if you want some more stretch for the upper body. Or if that's just not where you want to be, you could scoot back a little bit, keeping the knees together or apart, whichever is your preference, and then fold forward. Your hands go down by your side, by your feet, so your fingertips are pointing backwards. So this is not an extended variation. This would just be classic child's pose. I also learned this as Adho Mukha Virasana. Very calming pose. You want to stay in this pose for at least 10 breaths. And when we come up, you just want to take a deep breath and come up the same way you went into it, right? Nice long spine. So you want to continue with that Ujjayi breath as we finally come into our Savasana. Again, we could begin or end the way we began, right? With our feet up on the chair, if that is where you want to be. Or you could come into regular Savasana. So this is where we started the class. Here's where you can end the class. Or you could just lie prone with your legs on the floor, a little separated, with your hands up or down, whatever it is your preference. Please take as long as you like in this Savasana. This is the yoga.